Welcome back to Fighters Drinking Coffee, guys. Today we're going to talk about analyzing data, but not like boring data. We're going to talk about, we're going to kind of do a little year in review thing, but we're also going to go over looking back at at your competition season. You can do this for like multiple years if you like. But we're going to be looking at 2025, the competition season that we've had, taking all that data we've gathered and, kind of seeing like, all right, where did we start at the beginning of the year? What did we accomplish throughout the year? Where did we end up? Like, look at like the little micro goals, macro goals, all the data gathered in there from like the small little details, down to like big wins, big losses, not in competition, but like, what did we do well? What did we accomplish? Yeah. So like accomplishments, the big ones and the small ones, like those little things like we talked about on the last one. Like, did you just stop losing a certain way? Did you start, those little things? Did you stop making X mistake? Did you start doing whatever? But so we're going to kind of walk through what we look at, while also kind of doing our own year in review here. So, we'll bring you guys along for the ride as we kind of break down everything that from our competition seasons, and might be a lot of mine because I have a lot that I did.
I like this as a project for you. I'll do it too, but I think you definitely should do this a lot.
Especially like this is my first competition season back in a long time. So there's a lot to look at. So I think this will be a fun exercise, and you guys should be able to glean some ways to do that for yourselves. And for those of you that don't compete, you can do this just by looking at yourself back in January when you were at the beginning of the year starting jiu-jitsu class, even if you've been doing it for a while, but your first class of the year, and kind of how you've come along. You can still look back at like just how you're performing in class or at open mats and other gyms. If you drop when you're cross training, like we told you to on an episode.
This exercise can be used for like literally anything and everything you want to do in life that you care about. And I'm gonna make it about you, man. But like we'll make it interactive. We'll both go. But yes. So like what the reason why I like doing this, and this isn't like you don't have to do it this a year now, like now that you, again, if I'm using you as an example, now that like you finally, we've talked about this in the show, I've joked about this many episodes, people who've listened consistently will know, like 2, 3, 4 weeks back, I'm like, Mike, let's get you to where like you're done with your campaign. I'm calling it a campaign. You've been at war, and you get to like sit for a second and like really like, cause you were going. What I was going to say was that you can do this exercise at any given time, and you always should, especially like after a tournament or after an event, you can always do this analysis at any given moment. But like now with like a year, you can kind of get like a complete set of data, so to speak, and then be like, all right, cool. Let's understand what actually took place. And this is the first thing I wanted to say about this exercise, is that like, if you're not trying to like self-assess and take a look at, what you've done, what data points we receive from competitions, which there are many things you can get into, and all the prep going around that too. This is something me and Asim texted about with one another a lot this week after Worlds. But, if you're not looking back at things, you also don't really get the full picture. Like you'll miss stuff. You might think to yourself, like, man, I had a really good busy year, and like you'll still like benefit from that. Like you're not like the work you did's not going to bear zero fruit, but you can get the most out of it by looking back and being like, all right, dude, well, let's really study and understand what took place. How many times did I compete? How many times did I cut weight? Because maybe you weren't cutting weight for some of those, and like, as you know, like that's critical intel, man. Like, because how was my weight cut? How did my training change along with like the reduction? Like, I'm just giving you an example of the type of depth that analysis can provide for you. When I was cutting weight, did I bang up my leg 5 days before a tournament? And I decided to kind of tough it out and go in, and then how did I perform that weekend? I'm just giving you an example. Like, it's like you get to look at these things and be like, all right, well, how did May go? All right, May, I won gold at whatever. Okay. And then in June, I didn't make the podium. I got tapped out first run. Hey, maybe May to June, maybe you were overtrained. Maybe you competed. Maybe you hadn't gotten to where like you're acclimated to that level of activity. Again, these are just examples. But like, this is just a type of shit. Like literally just look back at everything, write it out, and like try to be as detail oriented as possible. We have tools and things that we can look up. Like you have some of those nifty, like internet things that you even told me about that like what's that one called? Like the BJJ, like,
BJJ metrics.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to BJJ Metrics. We should talk to those guys. But anyways, another time. But like something like that actually kind of like helps compile some data, but like, so you can leverage a tool if the tool gives you some directionality in the stuff. But like while it's fresh, while it's top of mind, and you still remember these things, because like I could go back, I have decent memory for like all my tournaments and shit, but like we go back years, like you'll forget shit. So do it now. But you get to go run through everything and try to like remember everything about the match. Did you win on points? Did you lose on points? Did you win a ref decision, lose on ref decision? Did you submit the guy? Did you get submitted? How many matches did you have? Did you do 3 divisions plus absolute? Because you did that a couple times, bro.
Yeah.
So you'll have mad data, dude. But like write it all out first, and then go through each layer of detail, and then let's try to get the picture of like when you were at your best, when you felt like you weren't at your best, but like you're still competent, like when you had to be really gritty, when you felt like fresh and energetic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, do it.
Oh, do it right now. Oh, now.
No, we can keep talking about it for sure. Because like for what it's worth, like what I'll say is that like while I do this, I don't claim to have the best system for this. In another life, wouldn't it be nice to kind of like the way we have these apps for us to have like an app that like just kept track of all of our shit? That would be kind of nice. Whoop is asking me all these questions about what I'm doing the day before. Every time I wake up, seriously, it has this like sleep journal thing where yeah, it's rather cool.
So you can kind of like figure out.
It'll ask you, yeah, exactly. Like because it crunches out these metrics. It says like you were poorly recovered, or you recovered at X percentage, you met whatever percentage of your sleep goal, and then it asks you questions. It was like, all right, well, what was the last time you did you fly yesterday? Did you work really late yesterday? Did you do X, Y, and Z yesterday? Did you have nicotine? Did you have alcohol? Did you have blah 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 blah? And it's obviously going to give us patterns on how these things impact all the.
Yeah, it'll tell you, and then like, well, if you doom scroll for 30 minutes before bed, then it seems like for you're not sleeping as well. Or if you eat because you ate every time you eat after 8:30, you don't sleep well, or
we should
whatever.
We should have this for combat athletes around their events.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could just.
Did you jack off 10 times yesterday?
We should just make a list of questions, and then at the end of every tournament, we just ask ourselves those questions. So, we have the warm up we do every time, right? We should just come up with like, this won't be blanket because.
Dude, are we making an app on this episode?
I think we're developing an app. Hey,
if you're listening to
this is trademarked. Don't stop listening now. Pick up in a few seconds.
If you build it better and faster than us, just send it to us.
What we're saying is we're looking for someone who knows how to develop an app.
I know some nerds who could help us with that.
But yeah, I mean, like I think we could probably. I mean, we just even do that in a journal. We'll figure it out. Let's fuck around with it right now. We're not going to give you guys too many ideas. We're going to do the thing we're going to do. We're going to analyze the year, not give you guys our app idea.
Yeah. Fuck off. Don't take my app.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I tend to, I do this like at a super small scale after each tournament, but like, you forget because I haven't been writing it down because
you're busy. It's not a behavior.
Got to move on to the next one.
Yeah, well, this is while you got a couple weeks between now and the end of the year, like this is one more call out to why this is such a good time of the year to do it, because like, people start to travel for Christmas, people start to travel for New Year's, like businesses start to slow down, like people get days off, like in the jiu-jitsu world, classes start to slow down, there are open mats and shit. Like people have a little more time on their calendar to like sit around, like, dude, wake up one of these days, eat your bagel.
Yeah.
Eat 2 bagels, gain the weight, have a cup of coffee, and then I'll fucking do it with you. I actually I rather enjoy these exercises. I actually really like it. That's why like me and Asim like to fucking work together, because we both like this shit, like this nerding out on stuff like that and like asking these questions. It's really fun for me. The discovery process. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting down with him probably tomorrow about for
There you
like
go.
our
There you go.
little recap. So this will be a practice.
It's going to be forced upon you. But like this, here's the last thing to pick on you, dude. This is like, again, this was your first big comp year in a minute, but you've probably competed more now as a grown ass man than you ever did in 1 year before this. If I had to bet, dude,
probably
think back to like maybe like except for when you wrestled in high school.
Outside of wrestling, yeah, I probably did more now than.
So you're taking it seriously, but you're more committed to it now, right? This is a cool thing. So like, do it now. Like, do it this year. Like, do it like this will inform you next year on just how to do everything better. It's cool. Like, I mean, I'm gonna do it. Like, I do this too, but I'm gonna do it with more rigor now that we're talking. I type shit up. I've given you papers that I type up. Yeah. I'm gonna type up more shit, man. I've actually got like a whole list of things I'm typing up in the next like 7 days for myself, but I also intend to distribute it to people who like students who I know will find value in it. Yeah, people that will appreciate it. But yeah, man, I mean, like, so let's lay out some facts, bro.
Let's just do it. So let's see. You
want me to guide you with questions?
We can do a little bit. I'll set the stage on like kind of what the length of the year was and a couple key time points. So like season started, was Copa Elite February or March?
Good question, bro. Let me take a look. I want to say
it started with Copa Elite though. So just to like
March.
I think it was March. It was either end of February or beginning of March. It might have been like first weekend of March because
I'll tell you. You keep going.
But whatever. If I searched through my pictures, I could find out.
I'm gonna find it, man.
But so it started with Copa Elite, which I was competing with an almost missing finger, by the way. That was fun.
I forgot about that. So this is a critical part of your story is like being mangled.
That is the beginning of the season. Then when that first Virginia Spring Open,
you cut your hand. Hold on, I'm not done with that yet. Did you cut it when like
it almost got ripped off. My pinky almost got ripped off by a machine.
That's right, dude. I don't like that.
Yeah. I got my stitches out early and like it still wasn't closed and I competed. So maybe don't do that just from like a general. Let's start with that.
To the extent that you can keep your hands out of
it's not
heavy machinery.
Yeah. Well, and like, look, probably let it close up. But I was not pulling
Copa
out.
was February 8th. By the
way. It was the beginning of February. It was
early.
So it started beginning of February.
That's right.
So we're 10 months.
Yep.
10-month season this year.
10 months.
The longest break was Virginia to Virginia.
Virginia to Virginia.
So that was 3
like
months?
March, I think. The first one
was... It was March or April.
March to June.
Yeah. And until July for Virginia. So that was the longest time off. But in that time, that was when I started working with the seam. So that's kind of like the key time points. And then right before, about a month ahead of Pans, I think it was, is when I left my job.
Okay.
So those are like kind of the key. I think those are probably some like key, like, timeline, like building kind of a framework there. So 10-month season starting in February, started working with a seam in April, right after we interviewed him. And then left my job at the end of the summer, September-ish. So about a month before Pans, I believe. So that's kind of like the setting the stage there. And so, yeah, that sets the stage.
That sets the stage.
I mean, you can either guide or I can I can break down things I already know about.
Let's keep setting the stage. So, all right. So first event, Copa Elite February, Virginia Open IBJJF was not too far off that. I mean, I'd say like a month and a half. I think it was March. And then right around that time was when you started working with the seam. Bang. That's a big data point right there. We get a professional strength conditioning program going. About, let's say 8 to 12 weeks. We're not exactly sure what the exact date of Virginia Open was, plus a seam. You then moving into the next Virginia Open, the summer one,
which was July,
not June. Okay, so let's say it was about like 10 weeks. And then you really picked the activity heavily You're probably feeling very well prepared. You've probably felt like you're like, all right, shit, dude, this Asim stuff is working, man. And you're motivated, and you kind of got the first couple events under your belt. Now you're like, and some medals. So you're like, let's keep this shit going. Was it between July and October when things really ramped up, or was it September? Because like I'd say Q3, you hit it heavy, dude.
September was the start of the ramp up, but it was like October
through November that you
October through November. Yeah. So like October, I pretty much competed every weekend.
Right.
Just about. August was maybe one thing. No, I don't even think I competed in August. August was like the only month in that span that I didn't compete at all. But like Virginia was the very end of July. But yeah, August was the only one I didn't compete at. I coached at a few, but I didn't compete in August. And then September, I had just one or two. Then I competed a shit ton October, November. Like,
I remember.
Yeah. Almost every weekend, every other weekend, starting in September, essentially. And then, so outside, the longest layoff would have been New York Open to Worlds, I think.
So
after, yeah. So like after Virginia Open, I think that was like the longest layoff.
It was New York Open. That was after Thanksgiving, right?
No, it was before Thanksgiving.
So you had about 2.5-ish weeks.
Oh no, because I competed in NGA. It was about a month. I think I had about not NGA, Movember. It was like a 1 month layoff from Movember to Worlds.
Okay, right. So once things like you crescendoed towards the end of the year quite a bit. Okay, got it. Now, ordinarily, we can do this together on the show here if it doesn't take an arduous amount of time to do it, but I'd like to know like how many matches you had at each event, like how many matches in total. You can estimate.
So 1, 2.
How about this? Do you think it was more or less than 20 when you put it all together?
It was probably a little less than 20.
So, but let's round up to 20.
Yeah.
Because
that works.
Just for the sake of conversation, because it was probably,
I think it was like 17 or 18.
Yeah, whatever. Let's just round up to 20. You competed about 20 times.
Actually, it might have been because it was. I think it reads about. I think it showed about 18 just in IBJJF. So no, it would have been closer to like 20. 20 is a pretty good number.
Let's gonna go with 20.
Yeah.
How about this? If we can approximate what your win percentage was. 60%.
Probably about that.
Okay.
I think that's about right.
Okay. 6 out of 10. That sounds about right. Just from like me, like communicating with you. But again, I'm not going, I mean, like, to the best of your ability, you can actually like write this shit out. Like,
yeah,
I would go through with a fine tooth comb. It's worth it, right? Like, we're just kind of spitballing it, but these are like good metrics to have here. All right. So let's go to the wins first. Within the wins, how many of those were via submission? How many of those were via points? And then how many of those were like other? Let's say like ref's decision being other.
So let's see.
Which is still a points win, but you know what I mean when I.
Yeah, like there weren't points involved.
Right.
Yeah, so I had 1, 2, 3 or 4, I think were by sub. I'd have to actually look at it more, but I think it was 3 or 4 were by sub of the wins. Most others were by points.
Okay. So
or decision. So like mostly it's
yeah.
I'd say it's probably mostly
all right, so
decision or point wins.
60% of 20 is about, what is that, 12 or 13?
Something like that.
Okay. And so out of the 12 or 13, let's say is it 3 or 4? Just pick a number for subs.
3.
3, okay.
3 sounds right.
3 out of 12. So 25% of your wins were by, if we're saying 12. 25% by sub, the other 75% by points. All right. So that's telling us something about like you're positionally comfortable, you're good at controlling and dominating there. Now, you might be able to answer this pretty quickly because I feel like this stuff like sticks in mind. Of the subs, what kind of submissions were you hitting?
Kimura and then guillotine.
Okay. So
one was by guillotine, the other 2 were Kimuras.
Okay. All right, cool.
Same exact Kimura.
So, but this is important to know because it's that's telling us, and we've talked about this too, where it's like, because I'll ask people this all the time. Like, I ask brand new competitors, and I know they don't have the answer for it because they're new, but you're not new. Which is like, what are your weapons? How do you win matches? What are your subs? For you, you're like, bam, I fucking Kimura guys.
Yeah.
And you get to them, right? But like this is starting to paint a picture for you, man. It's not that there's necessarily any sort of crazy takeaway from it other than like, hey, when I've won by submission, this was how I did it. Now, again, we don't have to do this right now, but it might be worth you asking, like, well, how did I get to those subs? What were those? Were they scrambles? Was it passing? Was it like, what do you remember about it? Was it like, hey, like late in the tournament, like this guy's tired, I'm not tired, he was weak, I fucking choked him. You know what I mean? Shit like that. Like you get to like be like, how did this sub develop?
So it's actually kind of cool because both of them come off the same. I mean, this is something that for the specifically that Kimura setup, but also it feeds into that guillotine. It's the exact same. We've worked it since the 20-teens. It's like the exact same thing. It's just like, it's not even something, it's just in my brain. It's just it's second nature now.
This is your game.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. This is like you being like, hey, like, this is a type of education that, dude, like when you think about the last match you had at Worlds where you're like, all right, like, where do I want to be when I am in any given match? Do I want to be in a scramble that continues to just go and go and go, and I'm not really sure I want to close it out? Or do I want to be guiding guys down these channels where I have dual threat opportunities, where I'm dominating motherfuckers, where I've gotten proven track records of finishing fights?
Well, we've talked about, right, like having that, like everyone can have like their black belt move. So like this is just the one I've practiced so many times that it's the one that this is my move that I am proficient at.
That's right. But just now we're just getting takeaways.
Yeah.
And like that's just a thing. I'd write that down.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, this year I was very successful. And by the way, it's not a big surprise, is it? You're like, I've been doing this for a decade.
Yeah.
Maybe longer. So yeah, you're good at it. How can you replicate that 2026? How can we force more people into these choke points metaphorically, but also literally in the fight to like put you in positions where like, this is just how I own motherfuckers. And like what our setups look like to do that, what types of opponents are conducive to put themselves in situations where the opponents, like maybe it's a guard puller who's like tough to get his arm and head near you. I'm just giving you examples.
Yeah.
Like who are the tougher guys for me to force them into that? And I therefore need to either create a different avenue to guide them in that, or when is it appropriate for me to say, I need to use a different weapon? And then, by the way, in tournament prep for next season, you get to think about the training sessions that you have where you're like, all right, like I actually now have had the last 3 months to like think through new training drills, new training partners that can benefit me to get better and better and better at these things. Hey, do I need to talk to Asim about like finishing mechanic strength? Like if you're like, I mean, what I'm hearing with guillotines and like kimuras is like upper body strength. So many things require upper body strength in jiu-jitsu. It's not a big surprise, but like, yo, man, like, all right, like you tell that to Asim, I guarantee you Asim will be like, I can think of 5 things that we can integrate on a weekly basis that's just going to make your guillotines a little bit tighter. Maybe he's going to give you more hammer curls. He has me do hammer curls all the time, and I like that shit. I'm just giving you an example. Like this stuff is very useful to think through. I could keep going on the submissions for a while, but I think that's a pretty good like example there. Points. Let's as like an exercise. Let's switch over to the losses now. Okay. Of the losses,
every single one was submission loss.
Now this is important to know. What does that potentially tell us? It tells us that if you're gonna lose, they're gonna have to kill you.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. That's pretty cool. That's good to know. Do you recall the different submissions that you Yes, you can.
Yeah. So I was.
You're compiling the data.
Yeah. So triangle choke.
Okay. You dealt with that one fast. You haven't been.
Yeah, we have solved that.
Good.
But so triangle choke was the first one. Elbow exploding. We might be able to put that as a
elbow exploding. Hold on. Was it Kimura or Americana?
It was like a mirror lock.
Got it.
Yeah.
But okay, but it was like an elbow thing. Elbow exploded. Sounds so dramatic. My elbow exploded.
And then like a bunch of one Dars and a bunch of guillotines. Lots of guillotines.
Okay.
And then like 2 leg locks.
It's kind of a mixed bag. I mean, you don't sound like you're particularly susceptible to any one thing. What I would argue
was super susceptible to the guillotine, but I think I might have worked that one out.
If I may, I have something for that I'll ask you, because I mean, because of the way you fight, and these are like again, this is good stuff to like share with, like you share with Jason, you share with Asim, but it's just starting to like paint a picture, which is like you go after it when you fight, right? So like it's your first year, getting back into competition. I would say like this year is a lot of like experimentation, exploration for you, and this is what it's like. This is what I'm seeing too. Sort of like, again, like you get to like figure out like, hey, where are my strengths, where are my weaknesses, where am I kind of vulnerable? In this case, you're not vulnerable to one thing, but you're like constantly putting yourself in positions, which is going to be good. Now, to the extent that you can kind of run through what we just did and like write it all, I'm not going to ask you to do that right now, for the interest of our listeners, but like you should write all that shit down. Like it was like this many heel hooks, this many whatever, so you can, because maybe there's more to it, than what I'm getting at here. But like what I'm hearing is that like there's no one thing, but you competed so much, and you're not losing on points. You're just getting tapped out. And you're putting yourself in risky positions, which is like, these are like those are the recipes for like, that's how you get better. I mean, my only issue with you in some of these situations is the exploding limbs. I just don't want you to, I want you to, now you're fine.
It was like only once.
And you've recovered from it, but like,
it's fine.
But if I may, and I think Jason and Asim would agree with me, like, that's cool. We might need to keep you protected from yourself. You're too tough for your own body, bro. You're fine. But also, like, let's just try to mitigate some of the potential bodily harm, especially when you compete.
That one specifically, that was a submission where there was no like pain thing that occurred.
Did the pain occur later, Michael?
It occurred later, but there was no pain in the moment.
Got it.
I didn't feel a submission occurring.
Got it. It just sort of happened.
It just exploded.
But you know what submissions look like. I'm not going to let you off the hook. That's funny. But yeah, dude, like ultimately good stuff there. It's just, I think for that, that's actually a good thing. This is a good thing. Like the way you like I said, you have to get beat. You didn't lose a single time on points, man.
Not a single time.
That's interesting. That's actually really.
I don't lose on. Well,
I'm
no,
impressed
actually,
by that.
one loss on points. 2. It was 2. It was but they were both. It was bigger guys.
Oh, the Movember ones? Super fights?
No, the one was was open weight. They were both open weight fights.
Okay. Those don't concern me a ton. Those are like the open weight fights are like, they're great. Don't get me wrong, but like
if a big dude has to lay on me to beat me, that's fine.
Well, the reason no, totally. And like, if I may, dude, like if we're looking at this, like we just did Worlds. Like if you want to put yourself in this, like you want to win major titles next year, which you do, you're going to do it in your weight class. That's ultimately your competition pool. Yes, like you'll do these absolutes, you do some like stuff where you kind of go out of like your typical competition environment, but like you should start thinking like, yo, man, next year I want to try to make a run at whatever. I'm just giving you an example. Give me whatever your goals are. Your goals are your goals. But if you're like, I want to win one major tournament next year or whatever, I want to win them all. Like however you slice and dice it, you're going to ultimately get into like, this is what my avenue of competition looks like. This is the build. This is the size. So those other ones are, I call it just getting experience. That's like, that was you getting blooded again for the first time in years, which again, I applaud you for that. So like in your division, like generally those are the habits. It's like those point losses were like those giant dudes laying.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're willing to put yourself at risk. That's a good thing to be. It's a good thing as a fighter. And by the way, you like we talked about with the submissions, I think you just run the same scenario of analysis of like, all right, how did I get there? What did it lead to? Did I put myself in that position? Did he put me in that position? And in either scenario, just kind of walk yourself through how you got there. And then you'll, in either case, it's all preventable. Like you can look at someone who pulled you into something and say, all right, well, this is where the trap developed and this is how he got it. Or you can look at that and say, well, he didn't even trap me. I just stepped into a thing being a goof and I got caught. And like either way, you're going to have the prevention / neutralization exercise and training of that. And that kind of goes back to where I was saying, like if there perhaps there's a pattern around that, because maybe the pattern is you put yourself in a lot of those situations.
Yes.
Is that the pattern?
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty much, so all the guillotines was, I mean, with partial credit to them, but all of them like was I initiate action, guillotine happened.
Got it.
So all the guillotines, it was that way.
Off of shots?
One was off a shot, two were off of wrestle ups.
Similar. So by the way, relatively similar engagements.
Yeah.
So that's a worthwhile nugget to say. All right, like we know we're going to go through these wrestling takedown or either a wrestle up or a wrestling takedown. It's going to come back, and you're not going to stop doing it, nor should you. But hey, Jason, let's look at this and say, all right, man, like we saw a pattern here. What's this? Because all it could take is just one little direction change with the way you prep a thing. And then all of a sudden that's gone. You don't have to worry about that shit anymore. And you're like, now when you wrestle, it's like, those are just points. You're just taking people down. But that's a worthwhile one to be right there. Be like, yo, this happened a couple times. I'm not too concerned about it. I know there's a thing I can do different. Because we've talked about this too. Like when you're constantly in like prep for the next tournament, you don't always get to stop and do different. You kind of just have to do the same.
Yeah.
So now you get to do different. Now you get to be like, yo, all right, well, we analyze this one thing. I know this is not a crazy trend, but it's a trend. It happened more than once. All right. Like instead of the double with my head here, I'll do the double like this, or I'll go outside single, or you name it, right? Like you just make that adjustment and you're like, all of a sudden I don't get guillotined anymore off these fucking doubles. If that is exactly what happened. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Actually after the third time it happened, I was like, all right,
I can't let this happen anymore.
I was like, we are going to, the two wrestle up ones were in the pit. So there was, a little bit of like a function of using the pit involved. But like we literally spent 30 minutes there's two other featherweights that are in the area that I'll train with that like compete frequently-ish. One of them frequently, other one he is also a competitor, not as frequent, but still competes decently. And so we literally just spent an hour in the pit, just like escaping guillotines.
I remember the pit being one of the major factors in this too.
Yeah, it was
worth considering.
The two, yeah. So like that was one of those things. Like, all right, well, we need to just figure out how this works.
Well, and that's worth talking about too, right? Because like the pit, this is the terrain thing we talk about. Like, know the battlefield, right? Like, how much of your time should be spent figuring out how to optimize the pit?
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I know it's There's not necessarily a right. There is a right or wrong answer depending on how frequently you're going to be in the pit. But if you do a pit tournament once a year, I don't think it should dominate how you prepare because that does impact what we talked about a little bit. But whatever, that's just kind of a sidebar comment. It's just shit for you to think about because I remember one of them was a wrestle up, if I recall, from the pit.
Yeah, so both wrestle up.
The dude elevated off the fucking pit.
Both of them were very similar. Where it was like my back against, like towards the pit wall, wrestling up.
Came up kind of concave.
And so like the way that it changes the way you have to wrestle up. Yeah. So that was like, I think that was like a specific thing with that one. The other one was just off a shot. And that was like, all right, we just need to correct this shot. It was also a shot I never do. So maybe don't do shots you never do in tournaments.
Yeah. Well, hey, but if you don't look back in this shit, you don't get to like get this because maybe it's not as big of a deal as we think, or maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But like, just this is the whole point is just doing this exercise. Anyways, man. Yeah. So like, I'd run through all this type. I would also do one on like energy, stamina, strength conditioning, health of the body, especially when we get into that like 8-week. 9-10 week whatever rampage you went on towards the end of the year where like you were cutting away all the time. Like let's go through all that and then be like, yo, how physically prepared did I feel or not prepared or overtrained or whatever.
That's one point of analysis is like I'm definitely not gonna like do that many all on top of each other again because like you
pigged out on jiu-jitsu, dude. You went to the jiu-jitsu Fogo de Chao.
Yeah.
You wouldn't leave.
By the end of the kind of like that last stretch, I was like luckily I was like recovered by the time we got to Worlds. But like, dude, it was.
Were you mentally recovered?
It was rough.
Were you like fired up, motivated, or were you like, yo, I kind of need a minute?
I was probably edging on burnout a little bit. I mean, like it was fine. Like
you managed it.
I'm able to manage it, but like it was definitely like if I did like one or two more in that time span, if I did like one or two more tournaments, might have been a little rough. And like a part of it too is like it was a lot all at once kind of at the beginning. Like I was talking about, maybe I'll stick to like once a month this coming up season. But like it was definitely like a lot, especially having to cut weight for all but one of them. And so like that was definitely tough. Like I think probably that New York Open definitely shouldn't have done that one. That was probably like that was kind of like I think that was like a
moment.
Yeah. Like that 10 hour drive up and back and competing and like cutting weight for that and like all of that. Like that was definitely like, that was like a little bit of an
educational moment for you.
Yeah.
Eye opening as it.
So I was like, all right, we don't need to do this. That was just because I was not gonna no show.
No, I get it. Now, by the way, you said something on that last. This is important shit to think about. Also, the weight cutting. You're gonna have to get into this with Asim and Jason. Be like, yo, guys, how much longer am I gonna be doing featherweight?
Yeah, like
when does it make sense for me to make that leap? I know my opinion on it. I know we've talked about it, but you got to engage with them and be like, yo, guys, let's make the right choice. But and this again, I'm asking you extra questions, things like, we've talked about, but like for our listeners,
talked about a little bit is like maybe we go up, or at least go up for most of them is what we talked about. And like Asim and I are talking tomorrow, ish. Well, when this comes out, it'll be in the past. We will have already talked about it by the time this comes out.
Good.
But like, I'm leaning towards moving up a weight class because it's getting each cut, and it, it's whether it was a matter of volume of cuts or whatever, but it might be like, hey, like let's move up for half the season and then cut back down for majors or something like that. Cause like it is getting, I mean, it was tough because
you did
like
a shitload of
we're also actively trying to like build
muscle.
So like it was also kind of like hard to
do both.
All right, we're building muscle when we're not cutting, and then we're cutting, and then we're building muscle. Like it wasn't really affecting the overall muscle building part. Like, but like each one got harder because I was actually getting bigger in between each one.
Yep.
So like that was definitely tough, and I'm definitely reaching the very top end of the weight, because I mean it took 10. It's at the beginning, it was taking like 5 days of eating down, and this last one for Worlds, even with the longer prep time, took 10 days. So like
your body's probably fighting back a little bit. It's like, hey, motherfucker, enough of this, dude. Overall, if I may, like what I'd say this year was like, this is why this is going to be such an important episode and a good exercise for anyone listening, and definitely for you. And I'm happy to keep talking about this shit because like I said, I like this stuff. Dude, this year, again, first year coming back, this was definitely like, let's get as much data as possible. Let's get you out. Let's get you active. Let's blitz the season. Like, hey, welcome back, Mike. So now you're in a good position to ask all these questions. These are all great questions, but if you don't do all the things you did this year, you also don't know what direction to take next year. So you're going to have so much information to analyze to make next year so much better, because you'll be able to ask like 6 or 7 important questions and you'll have an answer. To respond to that last one, dude, just to talk about, I mentioned the last episode, like Kaiser, the dude who I competed against in Chicago at lightweight, who was taller than me. I thought he outweighed me by about like 6 or 7 pounds. I mean, granted, obviously we're in the same weight class and we felt like physically like pretty similar. So he's just a taller dude than me. I ran into him, at Worlds last week. He won at featherweight. And I thought he was a big lightweight, but like just giving you an example of like athletes who do that, who like he clearly did a regional tournament at a higher weight, didn't have to cut anything, but he cut down for Worlds. Motherfucker won Worlds, man. So like people do that, and that could be the move for you, dude. This might be the most important thing for you to do this year. I mean, the prior conversation in this one, they're hand in hand. But I think that's a big one. And that's also a good longevity question. Because if you're talking about approaching burnout, I gotta think that weight cuts 60, 70% of that mental burnout could be you're just doing so much as well. And you cut it off right in time. You've seemed like very positive, like you've been motivated, you've been gritty, you didn't stop working. But the burnout part's real, man. Like we gotta continue to enjoy what we're doing.
Yeah, and like I don't think it was a matter of not
I know I'm pressing that a little bit too much, but I think it's more for people listening than really for you.
Oh, for sure. Like I don't think it was a matter of like reaching lack of enjoyment on my end specifically. But it was definitely like reaching the point of like, I just need a break. You know what I mean? Like it was more of that. Like
I know exactly what you mean.
Perfectly timed though. Like it luckily it worked out. It was perfectly timed. It was just like that last day of like cutting weight. I was like, I'm so ready to not cut weight. So I mean, that definitely played a big part in it. And it was just like, you kind of reach that point where like, all right, you bounce back and forth between like, all right, I'm kind of ready for this season to be over, but you're also like, but we still have a job to do.
That's right.
But I'm kind of ready for this, but I still have a job to do. Like, so you got right on that edge right there.
That's also a good thing too for like that mental grit.
Yeah.
You have to have that, like, again, war campaign thing. You have to you have to like endure a little bit. I like that shit too.
I like it too.
I know you do, but you did it.
It needs to be it has to be a little gritty.
Suffering. You did that. You checked that box, man. You endured what I bet most of the guys in my division didn't compete as much as you did this year.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's only one guy in my division.
We finished fourth in the fucking IBJF. So like you made top four, like you outworked, I don't know, probably thousands of people in your division.
Yeah. A lot.
If you look at the numbers. Yeah, dude. So like you worked hard. It's good. And and you earned the result, like you top 5 in your division for that. So that's the end of the year.
Yeah. No, it was good.
So it was worth it.
It was a good season. And like, that was one of the, I mean, we talked right afterwards, like, like it was still a really good run.
It was a very good run.
It was a very, like got out there and did the damn thing all year. So, yeah, it was good. And I'm still excited. Like, I'm excited for the next year and like the next season. Especially now that like,
ignore that.
We have all this data. And so like we can approach it more tactically next year. And like, we know like, all right, well, what's too much? What's not, like, what's not frequent enough? And like, I should actually be able to find a sweet spot going into next year and, have more clear cut goals.
Yep.
Cause like this year, the goal was like just to do it.
You did that.
Like,
check.
Yeah.
You hit your goal.
The goal is just to go out there and compete, be out there, go to Worlds, like go to Pans. Like Pans, the goal is to win Pans, but that didn't happen. And so like going into Worlds, like I'm just going to go to Worlds. I'm going to compete. And honestly, it helped a hell of a lot mindset wise. And so like, we even learned things throughout the season that helped. And, I mean, heck, like, I still compete. Like I said, I probably shouldn't all the way back at the beginning of the year, like with Copa Elite. Like, I was like, maybe I should have cared a little bit less about putting on a show and maybe I would have won. But at the same time, I want it to be exciting.
Look, it was your first event in so many years. Like you kind of said it earlier. You just wanted to go out and start doing shit, which you did. So you actually hit your goal.
Yeah.
If I could make a suggestion or at least give you something to think about, we've kind of spoken to this. I don't think it'll come as a major surprise. Probably you've already thought of this, but I think next year it's quality over quantity, but you can still kind of have that because quantity does have a quality.
Yeah.
Quantity has quality, but, yeah, I'd say like quantity over quality, man. Or quality over quantity. You know what I'm saying? And, when you think about your year and you're talking to Jason, you're talking to Asim, we're talking, I would have the goals. Maybe the goal is like bang out that first major, or maybe it's like, I want to stay top 10 or whatever in my IBJF division. I want to get this many gold medals, which means I'm going to have to compete. Just write out a couple different things and you could probably even have it hierarchically be like, the biggest goal is X, Pans and or Worlds or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The second one is like, alongside that, I want to be top 10 or whatever and 5 IBJF golds, example. And then the third one will be fucking you name it, right? But know that so you can kind of build your year around it. And then when it comes to your calendar and shit, man, maybe you don't need to do one a month because maybe that like, if I'm just giving you another way to look at it, because you could do one thing, you can do whatever you want. Once a month is totally reasonable, but maybe you, instead of doing once a month, maybe you like kind of do like mini little periodizations where you're like, all right, I'll do like 3 between February and like March 15th. And then I'll do another 3 or whatever. Like you can kind of move it around so it just averages out to that level of activity, but kind of gives you, because you've learned now from the seasonality of things of like what you like and what you don't like. And this will overlap with some of the weight gain / weight cutting conversations you're going to have too, which is like, all right, like big picture. I just talked to Asim. He thinks for me to do, I'm just giving you an example. For lightweight, I really got to get my weight up to like 63 to be peak lightweight. So that may mean that 2026, you might not be a full lightweight.
Yeah.
2027, you could be, but you could start to dip your toes into lightweight so that you're giving yourself a break on featherweight activity. So maybe the decision is like you do your featherweights for your majors, you do some regionals at lightweight, and you'll be like 156, but fed and big and strong as you're still building up that base size till you're like, yo, I'm right where Asim wants me to be for a full on lightweight athlete. Just giving you an example. And with that, that means I can do like, maybe your little mini campaigns, I should say, will be like 2 lightweight regionals chased by a featherweight major, followed by a slight amount of recovery period where you're still going to train, get weight kind of goes back up. Another same thing, short campaign, slow it back down, campaign, we peak. I'm just basing on our conversation, giving you a crude example of what you could do.
Yeah, I mean, that's
something to think about.
Yeah, it all makes sense. And I think that's kind of
and you'll want to run through this entire pod. It's a good thing you have all the raw data from the podcast. You can do this.
Yeah, I mean,
you'll probably come up with your own analysis.
We could even assign listeners homework to analyze the entire go back and listen to all the episodes.
Recite back to us your analysis based on I'm going to do that.
It actually works. All 40 you don't actually have to listen to all of them.
Yes, they do.
We might not have to listen to all of them to do that, and there might be a couple we can cut out, but for the sake of like doing the homework on it, but yeah, listen to all of them. If you're already listening to this one, listen to every single one.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I mean, I'm excited, especially like being able to build a good, like an actual schedule next year. I just wish they would release stuff sooner.
Well,
like I wish they would put some have so that you can actually plan a little bit better.
Here's what you can kind of plan on. You can plan on December, same thing as last year.
Well, that one's on there, luckily.
Euros is going to be in like November or October. Pans will be November or October. Those will be very close together. They always are. What am I missing? Nationals will be like in June, July. Fucking ass load of regionals between that. Regionals are kind of easy to plan around. It's just like, I know there's logistics and stuff. You want to like have an idea of where you're going to be and when you're going to do a thing.
Those ones are just tough because if like sometimes those pop up before Pans or before Euros, and so you might then you end up booking something too close.
I get it. So that's why I think you plan around the majors because you kind of know when and where they're going to be. And then what you do is you earmark weekends or like ideal, like wiggle, like 2 to 3 week range for like, I want to find something that I can get a flight for less than $250 to go compete weekend, or maybe I'll drive, right? You kind of like earmark, you're like, yo, I'd like to get a couple regionals, or I'll do some shit locally just to like just keep that bigger goal nice and well prepared for. And I can plan my time and your wife and your kids and shit around that, to the best of your ability. And like, there are certain cities in our area we know are going to have opens. Boston will have opens. Virginia, our area, we're going to have opens. Charlotte, North Carolina has opens. Atlanta has opens. Miami will have an open. New York will have an open. You get what I'm saying.
Nashville
will have an open. Seriously. Yeah. And so then you can also kind of have fun with it. You'd be like, yo, like, I don't know when it's going to be, but like New Orleans has an open. I want to go to the New Orleans open. I haven't been to New Orleans in like, since I dated the one girl like a million years ago. And I'd like to go by myself. And like, I think it'll be fun.
It's too early for me this year. I think it's January or February. Bummer. I wanted to go to that one.
That might not be too early for me.
But
anyways,
looking at March, this is before March.
New Orleans. But like, I'm just telling you, like, there's certain, like, you can kind of have a little fun with it. Like, you can be like, yo, like, I know this place is going to have an open, and you may not know exactly when it's going to be, but like, you know, like, you can make an educated guess. You can look at last year's schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, because they should end up roughly around the same time.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Roughly. So to the extent that you can map your entire life around this shit, that is.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, man.
Cool. So how's that for some analysis?
That's analysis right there.
We're just getting started, but
There's so much more we could do, but we are coming up on
enough
time
for the listeners.
But yeah, guys, so like that's just a little bit of a little
hot
taste, a little bit of some hot takes.
You two can do this.
But so like that's just kind of an idea of, what we look at when we are going to be doing this. I mean, we're both going to be doing our own analysis, and that's just kind of a brief introduction to it. But, we're looking at like, just kind of summarize it. We looked at how often we competed, how much, like kind of how we win, how we lose, where we're strong. And like within that, you look at, all right, well, if I'm getting submitted, how am I ending up there? Or if I'm submitting people, how am I getting there? And like, you can take all these scenarios that you're analyzing and turn them into actionable items. So you can look at like, all right, well, how do I drill? How do I get better at this? How do I create games or drills, or like how do I utilize my training partners so that I can practice this specific thing, whether it's funneling to your submission of choice, or creating, just actually being able to create like a practice plan. So you should be able to actually take everything, implement it by the time you're done analyzing it. So like,
that's right. This is all meant to give you like informed decisions on how you can change your day to day for the thing that you obviously care a lot about doing and you want to do better at it. So this is meant to do exactly what you're talking about. It's going to give you an action plan for like the handful of choices that you want to adjust. It's the end of the year. Everyone wants to make New Year's resolutions. Like if you've trained for years and years and years and years and years, it's a good thing to like implement and make adjustments. Yeah, if you ain't adapting, you're dying, baby.
Yeah, if you're doing this, if you're doing the same thing, you're gonna get the exact same results, right?
Damn right.
So
some people I'd like to, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, so hopefully this gives you guys something to act on, a way for you to go back and analyze your year. And yeah, I mean, this will actually kind of be perfect. It's be right before New Year's when this comes out. So this will be
perfect.
This will be perfect, guys, because this will be your way to analyze and look at creating those New Year's resolutions, because you'll be listening to this on the last Tuesday of the year.
Make 2026 your best year.
Yeah. So we'll be there, right there with you guys. We'll be hitting the ground running going into 2026. We'll be competing, and we'll keep you guys in the loop on that too. But with that was Fires Drinking Coffee. Everything's still in the show notes. Forgot last time, but please, please, please make sure to get on there, rate, review, drop those 5 stars. That helps a lot. The ratings and reviews too, like by actively like commenting or, writing something with the review, it actually does help. That helps with the algorithm even more. Addition to the 5 stars, you should do the 5 stars, but then also, write something down. It helps out, especially if you're on YouTube, apparently. Oh. I'm learning things about algorithms, guys, and I'm passing on this information to you. But like that helps us get in front of more listeners. That helps us, helps more people. If you guys are enjoying this, why wouldn't you want other people to enjoy it too?
Hear, hear.
So share the love, especially going into 2026, guys. We love you. Bye.
TYL, bye.